Bonsoir à tous, bienvenue au 20h sur Equinox Télévision, une édition bilingue. Innocent Zé, good evening.
Bonsoir à vous, c'est Versi Polizanga and good evening to you televiewers and welcome to this edition of the 8 p.m. bilingual newscast on Equinox Television. In this newscast, we shall tell you how
véhicule, l'un d'eux, parti de Tiko pour le village Okouabamenda, a été percuté par ce véhicule bleu, alors déséquilibré par la perte de l'une de ses roues. Le choc sera violent, à la fois pour la famille du défunt, entassé dans la voiture de délégation, que pour ceux à bord de l'autre véhicule. Même s'il n'y a eu aucune perte en vie humaine, les blessés graves seront transportés dans les hôpitaux de Loum et de Ndjombe, et les autres seront forcés de passer la nuit à la Belle Étoile, attendant le lever du jour pour se trouver un autre véhicule.
Des hommages académiques pour le professeur André Vesso, l'ancien directeur de l'École normale supérieure de Yaoundé, décédé le 14 mai dernier, a reçu les hommages de la communauté universitaire. Les détails avec Aïe Cyril.
Chants et louanges en l'honneur du professeur André Vesso. Décédé le 14 mai dernier, l'ancien directeur de l'École normale supérieure de Yaoundé et doyen de la faculté des sciences de l'éducation de l'université de Buea reçoit les hommages académiques à l'amphi 700 de l'université de Yaoundé 1. Amis et connaissances, parents et anciens collègues ont fait le plein de l'amphi 700. Ils pleurent tous un homme de sciences accompli qui aura contribué à faire grandir la communauté universitaire nationale, notamment l'université de Buea, où il a été doyen de la faculté des sciences de l'éducation de 2009 à 2018.
Il a beaucoup fait pour l'université de Buea. C'est dans son temps qu'on a beaucoup de doctorantes en soutenir. C'est pour son terme de service que beaucoup d'enseignants ont eu leur promotion. C'est sous son terme qu'on a fait ami beaucoup des étudiants dans la faculté de sciences de l'éducation. Donc, pour ça, André Vesso a beaucoup fait pour la faculté de sciences de l'éducation et pour l'université de Buea entière et pour la famille universitaire du Cameroun.
Né le 10 novembre 1952 à Elik Akeng 2, André Vesso séjourne à l'École normale supérieure de Yaoundé entre 1972 et 1974. En 1975, il quitte pour la France, d'où il revient nanti d'une licence en sciences de l'éducation à la Sorbonne en 1976, d'une maîtrise en sciences de l'éducation en 1977 et d'un DEA en sciences de l'éducation en 1978. En 1981, il soutient une thèse de doctorat de 3e cycle en sciences de l'éducation à la Sorbonne, avec mention très bien, avant d'obtenir un PhD en éducation comparée à l'Université de Montréal au Canada entre 1986 et 1988. Assistant au département de sciences de l'éducation de l'École normale supérieure de Yaoundé de 1981 à 1986, il sera par la suite chargé de cours au département de sciences de l'éducation de la même institution. En 2012, il accède au grade de professeur titulaire, mais depuis 2009 jusqu'à 2018, il est doyen de la faculté des sciences de l'éducation de l'université de Buea. Celui qui a toujours milité pour que l'école contribue de manière efficace à l'essor du continent africain quitte le monde en laissant derrière lui un grand vide.
Tu as marché récitant l'hymne aux morts et les dieux t'ont ordonné de comparaître devant les tribunaux de toutes les villes saintes où tu as vécu.
Décidément, la mort est intraitable et cynique. Elle ne fait exception de personne lorsqu'elle choisit ses cibles.
À l'université de Yaoundé 1, l'émoi et la consternation remplissent les visages, surtout lorsque le cercueil quitte définitivement l'amphi 700 pour un voyage sans retour.
Au terme d'une étude commandée par le gouvernement camerounais à travers le ministère des Finances, l'inclusion financière se révèle être un véritable moteur de lutte contre la pauvreté. Si les services financiers ont connu une croissance exponentielle au Cameroun, de nombreux Camerounais, eux, restent toujours exclus du système financier, ce qui peut permettre d'entretenir la situation de pauvreté dans laquelle beaucoup vivent. Plus de précisions avec Joël Essingé et Jean-Guy Zogo.
Le boom des activités financières est une évidence au Cameroun, comme vient de le rappeler le ministre des Finances lors de la restitution des résultats de l'enquête sur l'offre et la demande des services financiers au Cameroun.
Le volume des dépôts collectés par les établissements de microfinance est passé de 370 à 584 milliards de francs CFA. Les crédits octroyés par les banques et les établissements de microfinance au cours de la période sous revue ont également connu une tendance haussière significative de 1936 à 2 969 milliards de francs CFA, soit une embellie de 53% en valeur relative.
Mais il faut bien, au-delà, que cette augmentation de l'offre financière nationale contribue à résorber la pauvreté.
Il y a eu une première étape où on s'est focalisé sur la microfinance. On a essayé de la développer, on l'a assainie, mais on s'est rendu compte que les résultats n'étaient pas toujours atteints, c'est-à-dire parlant de la réduction de la pauvreté, et on est passé à l'étape supérieure qui est l'inclusion financière.
Partenaire technique du Cameroun dans cette enquête, le Fonds d'équipement des Nations Unies a déjà ciblé les secteurs dans lesquels un accent devrait être mis pour le financement au Cameroun.
Nous avons suggéré, à travers cette enquête, on doit faire un travail sur le financement des chaînes de valeur agricoles. Il faut les identifier, il faut pouvoir mettre une emphase sur le financement des chaînes de valeur agricoles. Mais il faut aussi développer des produits financiers spécifiques pour les jeunes, l'artisanat, en exploitant au mieux le potentiel qu'offre aujourd'hui la finance digitale.
Des réponses qui devraient permettre de mieux faire face aux effets de l'exclusion financière et par ricochet de promouvoir l'inclusion financière plus pertinente dans la lutte contre la pauvreté.
Les populations de Madaka, une trentaine de kilomètres de la ville de Maroua dans la région de l'extrême nord, ont défié la secte islamiste Boko Haram pour célébrer aussi hier la fête de fin du mois de jeûne du Ramadan. Ils ont élevé notamment, ces populations ont élevé leurs prières pour la paix dans leur localité et dans le Cameroun dans son ensemble. C'est un reportage signé Amadou Daïrou et Julien Berthe-Bissaï.
Ils n'ont pas dérogé à la règle en cette année 2018. Les fidèles musulmans de l'arrondissement de Bogo, dans la ville de Maroua, ont pris d'assaut ce lieu de prière pour implorer Allah. Une fête qui se déroule dans la tristesse avec les multiples braquages et assassinats qui ont fait des dizaines de morts dans l'arrondissement de Maroua 2e.
Nous étions très accablés par des malfrats. Nous entendons ici par là des braquages et des attaques à perpétuer. Et durant ce mois, je pense que Dieu nous a gardés. Et il a compris notre prière. Nous continuons toujours à exaucer Dieu, de toujours nous garder, d'éloigner davantage de nous tous ces malfaiteurs qui ne nous laissent pas le sommeil tranquille. Amen.
À Madaka, toujours dans le même arrondissement, les fidèles musulmans, sous la conduite de Sa Majesté Lawan, ont prié pour la paix dans la région de l'extrême nord en particulier et pour le Cameroun en général.
Et donc après 30 jours de jeûne, nous sommes venus vous adresser également nos salutations. On prie le Seigneur ensemble pour qu'il préserve notre nation d'une paix, qu'il préserve notre milieu d'une paix et qu'il préserve notre santé, qu'il nous élève au rang de dignes citoyens camerounais et qu'il fasse de vous aussi ces citoyens nobles, exemplaires et le jour venu que vous soyez élevés à la dignité.
Sa Majesté Lawan Bouba Amadou, chef de la communauté musulmane de Madaka, a également demandé aux habitants de dénoncer tout acte de barbarie afin d'éviter le pire tel que survenu à Magavé, à Maroua 2e. Les membres de la secte islamiste Boko Haram qui seraient à l'origine de ce drame ont été arrêtés pour exploitation.
Du sport, avant la deuxième partie de ce journal, 21e édition de la Coupe du Monde, Russie 2018, le Nigeria affronte la Croatie en ce moment même. Les deux équipes sont à égalité, 0 but partout. C'est le 3e pays africain parmi les 5 qui également débute la compétition. Donc après les défaites hier de l'Égypte et du Maroc. Un peu plus tôt en journée, la France s'est imposée 2-1 sur l'Australie. L'Argentine a été tenue en échec 1 but partout par une belle équipe de l'Islande. Le Pérou a été battu 0-1 par le Danemark. Innocent Daze, you have the second part of the news.
Merci, Sylvester Polizango, and once again to our televiewers, good evening to you and welcome to the second segment of this newscast. We begin right away to the story in the Northwest region where we say why classes or some schools are evaluating the just ended 2017 academic year. In the Northwest region, classes are yet to resume. That is in 2018 as speculated by many. It should be noted that the primary school in particular, that's in Pinyin, Northwest region of the country, is yet to have its pupils resume due to the escalation of the Anglophone crisis since 2016. Our reporter Mimi Mefo and Amos Fongo are our reporters on special assignments in the Northwest region. They have this report.
In this classroom for this institution, it is the government primary school in Kongfun, Pinyin Santa subdivision of Mezam in the Northwest region of Cameroon. It was on the 9th of November 2016 that the last lesson held in this institution. It is as a result of the current socio-political crisis in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon. The classrooms, the structures are appealing, the benches are new, but it is practically empty. It's been a similar scenario throughout the academic year 2017-2018. Nothing has changed at the government primary school called Funi in Pinyin, and it is likely going to be a similar atmosphere when classes resume come September. Under normal circumstances, school officials or guards on duty were supposed to be present on campus to receive those coming for inquiries. But it is not the case at the government primary school in Kongfun, Pinyin Santa subdivision of the Northwest region of Cameroon. Before the Anglophone crisis escalated, kids usually come here to play, but they cannot do so today, else they might be mistaken for schoolgoers. In the classes, benches and floors are dusty, presenting the picture of a building which has been out of use for over 1 year. On the boards, the last lessons were dished out on the 3rd of December 2016. Some of the classes are simply closed, the surroundings bushy. This school, which has been existing for decades, was renovated and handed to the government of Cameroon in 2017. To get reactions from Pinyin residents was difficult, but they told us off camera that the coming school year might be a blank one, as they are not ready to send their children to school with the current state of affairs. Reporting from this deserted academic premises in Pinyin, Santa subdivision of the Northwest region of Cameroon, we are Mbo Stella, Amos Fongo and Mimi Mefo for Equinox Television.
And Cameroonians were taken aback after seeing a video of young women being robbed in mud in the Bali subdivision in the Northwest region of the country. Equinox Television visited Bali to investigate the situation. Mimi Mefo and Amos Fongo once again.
The video left Cameroonians in shock. It was captured in Beisin, CPC Bali, Mezam division of the Northwest region, showing gendarme officers with AK-47 forcing 2 young girls and a boy to crawl in mud. Though the 2 girls pleaded for mercy, the gendarmes pour insults at them, qualifying them as Ambazonian spies.
Go, 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 go. Oh, shut up, shut up.
At the end of the 4-minute video, one could see that one of the victims was completely exhausted and lying helpless on the ground. Equinox Television traveled to Beisin in Bali subdivision, and this is the picture of the area where the victims were being maltreated by gendarme officers. The area is partially muddy. We approached the gate of CPC Bali. and were told by the guard on duty that the incident is not recent. A school official refused to be named gave a similar testimony, but said that it occurred between September and October 2017, and that several other young boys passing by were subjected to similar agony. We investigated further from nearby residents who told us that they have no clue as to when the incident occurred. The Balinyongas Palace could not react on the matter, as the phone is taking care of senatorial duties in Yaoundé. The mayor of the Bali Council was not on seat. We contacted him on phone, and in his brief reaction, he criticized the incident with strong terms and said that such treatment meted on Anglophone Cameroonians only go a long way to radicalize the youths and aggravate the situation. The Social Democratic Front presidential candidate, Honorable Joshua Ossi, described the act as barbaric and gross violation of the rights of women and Cameroonians. The first vice president of the party called for an immediate ceasefire and dialogue. The communication minister in Cameroon, Issa Shiroma Bakari, told an international media that soldiers who fail to respect the law in force are apprehended and brought to book. But he failed to say with precision whether the government of Cameroon is going to be investigating this particular incident. The worry of human rights defenders is whether the civilians who suffer the abuse are alive and safe. For if such an incident could go unnoticed, then several cases of human rights abuses in Anglophone Cameroon are still undocumented.
Cameroon has joined other nations to celebrate the Day of the African Child. Meantime, in the northwest region of the country hit by the Anglophone crisis, nursing mothers have a big challenge to face in order to cater for their children. Bo Stella, in the upcoming reports, paints a picture of the suffering that these nursing mothers are passing through.
A 28-year-old mother of three has been in this compound, host to some displaced persons from some conflict-hit areas of the northwest region for 4 months now. As she explains, her baby, who is 2 months old now, was born under difficult conditions.
So we were there, we were living us very well, going to the farm, doing our things very well. But the day that the people came into our own village, gunshots every night, when the people came, as they are shooting guns, make us not to sleep in the house. We run to the bush with the children. I was pregnant until 7 months, going to 8 months, no antenatal because of those people. So in the afternoon like this, you will not see us in the house. Sleeping in the village, sometimes you see as ants are biting children. In fact, rats more are passing, snakes are passing. So we have to find ourselves running, coming back, coming to town.
Another preoccupying story is that of this mother to a set of twins. She had been battling with the sound of gunshots that had set her running to and from the bushes shortly after she put to bed.
So that Monday that I gave birth, Monday 10 o'clock in the morning, then in the evening we slept well, breaking the next morning. Then places started, those people, those gendarmes, they came in and be disturbing. They said that we should run from there. We started running, me and my landlady, she was the one that helped me. After they said that we should go back to the bush again, we started again running. I had no energy again because the day I gave birth, I bleed a lot. So we started running, I had no energy. They were carrying me, get up the next breaking morning. It was the worst day.
These two are among the many who are hosted by Mama Mata Tendo. This woman, who has been described by the women and children as a good Samaritan, is visually impaired. She has been in this condition for 1 year now. Despite the help she has been rendering so far, this internally displaced person still face a number of challenges.
It is not easy to leave from your own home and come and stay in another person's place. It is not easy, but
I'm just managing, yeah, because it's not easy. Because I was running, there was no way for me to carry the children. If not of my landlady, my mother, and then I don't even know how I could cope. Because energy, I don't even have energy again.
As the crisis draws on in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon, their expectations are high.
We are pleading the government that the government should see into the issue and settle the problem, because we cannot continue living like this.
If the crisis can stop, then in fact, me, I'll be happy, and everybody also will be happy, because it's too much.
Living away from family is difficult for these young women, whose only desire is for the government to demilitarize the Anglophone regions and provide solutions for the crisis so they can return and resume their normal activities.
And of course, yesterday, the Feast of Ramadan was celebrated in Cameroon. We take you to Marwa, far north region of the country, where Muslim faithful prayed against the atrocities of the Boko Haram barbaric sect. They equally prayed for God or Allah sparing their lives. Details for me, Armstrong Sander.
Like their brothers and sisters in Islam across the entire world, the significance of the Feast of Ramadan is one. The security context of the far north region of Cameroon had an impact on Ramadan prayers in the region. In Madaka, Bogo subdivision, faithfuls prayed in a sad mood because of the Boko Haram atrocities in their locality. Boko Haram suicide bombers and other forms of attacks have caused scores of lives in this region. Muslims as well as non-Muslims have been victims of these multiple attacks from Boko Haram. As one man in Allah, the loss of dear ones preoccupied their spiritual communication to Allah. They prayed for peace in Bogo subdivision, the far north region and Cameroon at large. The divisional officer for Bogo subdivision thanked Allah for keeping them alive despite multiple challenges. We were really engulfed by men of the underworld, particularly armed robbery and targeted attacks. During this period, we think he protected us and he heard our prayer. We will continue to pray for him to protect us from these evildoers who are giving us sleepless nights. The Muslim traditional leader in Madaka, His Majesty Buba Lawan Hamidou, asked them to denounce any form of sectarism. He cited the recent attack of Marwatu subdivision where 13 people were killed. The members of the Boko Haram sect who were responsible for the act were later arrested for justice to take its course.
We now talk this story where 3 persons have been injured in an accident which occurred along the Douala-Kongsamba stretch of road. It should equally be noted that the casket that was being transported with the corpse inside for burial actually fell from the bus. Details with Franklin Mwabe.
It was at midnight in Loe, a locality situated some 200 kilometers away from the toll gate in Manjo, in the Mongo division, that a vehicle leaving from Tiko to Oko, northwest region of Cameroon for burial, had an accident with a corpse on board the bus. The remains of Mr. Jato fell off the bus after the casket got shattered. The bus carrying the corpse and other sympathizers to Oko was hit by another vehicle coming from the opposite direction that lost one of its wheels.
So other man where they come for it back, the man don't come out for troisième position. Then he go meet up with driver for this side. Then they jump.
3 persons were severely injured and were transported to hospitals in Loum and Jombe, where they are currently receiving treatment. The family of the bereaved had to make other arrangements for the corpse to be transported for burial in Oko in Bamenda.
So don't go find a different motor with different arrangement now, buy different coffin, because the one way we don't buy don't scatter all.
Only God could have saved the bereaved family from the severely damaged bus which they were inside.
And now we take you to the Southwest region to see some social development bodies selected from the Southwest region and the Center region have come to the end of a 6-year health program on the capacity building for an HIV-free society. Details with Derry Jato.
The various campaigns for an HIV-free society carried out by some social development bodies around Cameroon, specifically in the Southwest, South and the Center regions, attracted VIV Healthcare Positive Action for Children Fund, a United Kingdom-based organization, and in 2012, a program was launched to strengthen their capacities, and the Cameroon Baptist Convention Health Services has been in charge to provide the technical services since then.
It is also intended to ensure that even as they implement those projects, they are able to document and show the impact of their contribution. So this is what we have been doing since 2012.
Mr. Alphonse Abanda, the CBC administrator who doubles as the coordinator of this VIV program, says they have satisfactorily come to the end of this 6 years health mission.
From our evaluation, we have ascertained that Child Aid Development Foundation International, Member Action Jeune, and Reach Out Cameroon have the capacity to perform within the standards that are required.
And to the beneficiaries, this technical assistance has helped them to be able to face bigger health challenges. Though the program is ended, but a bond has been created between the CBC Health Services and these structures for a healthy society.
And now, before we end this newscast, we talk sports to say Nigeria, another African country, is currently representing the continent that is against the defending Croatia, and the game is still 0-0. It should be noted that France earlier played against Australia this afternoon, where they defeated Australia by 2-1. Argentina and Iceland ended on a 1-1 draw. Peru and Denmark equally played, with Denmark beating Peru. That was 1-0. And it is on this note that we draw a curtain on this 8 p.m. bilingual newscast on Equinox Television. Thanks so much for watching. Another rendezvous comes up tomorrow. Bonne soirée, Sylvestre Polizangao.
Bonne soirée à vous, Innocent Nazé. Mesdames, Messieurs, c'est ici que nous mettons un terme à cette édition de Journal Bilingue sur Equinox Télévision. Restez en compagnie de nos programmes qui se poursuivent.